On a crowded street, two cars fought over a parking spot. A man from the black car rushed out, a baseball bat in hand, and smashed the front windshield of the opposing car in an uncontrollable rage. However, he didn't know the person in the car was someone he shouldn't have messed with. Before the man could react, Sonny had pulled out a gun and shot him repeatedly. Sonny walked over to the unfortunate soul and coldly fired several more shots into his face to ensure he wouldn't survive. Afterwards, he handed the weapon to his men to dispose of and quickly moved the injured man into a car. When he turned back, Sonny met the terrified eyes of a young boy standing nearby. Clearly, the boy had witnessed the entire event. Sonny looked at the boy for a moment, but ultimately decided to spare his life and let the boy go home to his father. The boy's name was Calogero, and he was only 9 years old. When he got home, as he and his father Lorenzo were about to enter, there was a knock on the door. Lorenzo cautiously opened the door to find two police officers investigating the recent shooting. There were many witnesses at the scene, but no one dared to identify the Mafia boss. Lorenzo knew very well that his son had seen everything, but to protect him, he lied that Ciro knew nothing. However, Ciro couldn't stand the dishonesty. He spoke up, saying he knew everything. The boy's words plunged the entire room into a tense silence. The boy's next choice would completely change his life. At the police station, when the suspects were brought out in a lineup, Ciro denied each one until he faced Sonny. He looked at Sonny, then at his father, but ultimately decided to remain silent. The Mafia boss escaped justice this one time, but he never forgot Ciro's face. When he returned home, the boy was relieved that he hadn't become an informant, but Lorenzo scolded him for helping a criminal. Lorenzo explained that Calogero's action had abetted evil. Calogero, despite being only 9, felt confused by the values his father taught him. Things that initially felt clearly right now felt uncertain. Lorenzo noticed the confusion in his son, hugged him, and said that sometimes protecting yourself wisely is not a sin, and he would understand better when he grew up. The reason Calogero chose to protect the Mafia boss starts in the neighborhood where the boy lived. The people living here were Italian Americans, mostly from Sicily, Italy. We all know that Sicily produces 3 things: lemons, beautiful women, and the Mafia, of which the Mafia is extremely famous. In the neighborhood, gangs operated frequently, and the most powerful leader was Sonny. The gangs often ran rampant on the streets. Perhaps the boys, from a young age, had supported power and violence. Instead of hating the gangs, they were drawn to them. The children here often imitated the actions of the Mafia groups on the streets in their own small groups. The person Calogero admired most was Sonny. The boy would often imitate Sonny's actions on the street. Sometimes, the boy would even look at Sonny with an admiring gaze and say that no one was classier than him. Ciro's father was a bus driver and an honest immigrant worker. He had warned Ciro never to go near the bar downstairs, and as for why, you'll understand when you're older. However, Calogero ignored his father's words and snuck into the bar whenever he had the chance, as the boy desperately wanted to get Sonny's attention. In reality, no one paid attention to a 9-year-old boy, let alone the Mafia boss Sonny. However, the turning point of any story always happens by chance. One day, as Ciro was imitating Sonny on the street, he witnessed a conflict between 2 cars over a parking spot. Sonny's man was attacked, so he didn't say another word, pulled out his gun, and then came the scene from the beginning of the video. Sonny saw that Ciro had witnessed the whole process but spared the boy. Ciro, having seen the event firsthand, decided to keep silent and protect Sonny, which left a deep impression on the Mafia boss. Sonny began to care for and see Calogero as his benefactor. Whenever he met Calogero's father, he would look at him kindly and greet him. As Ciro walked by one day, Sonny's men came to see Lorenzo to thank Ciro. Sonny intended to offer Ciro's father a job with a weekly salary of $150, equal to his entire month's salary as a bus driver. However, Lorenzo didn't want to get involved with the Mafia and flatly refused. Today, Sonny's men called Ciro to the bar. The so-called bar was actually Sonny's headquarters. This was the first time Calogero had been this close to his idol. Little Ciro showed no fear at all. The Mafia boss Sonny didn't put on any airs either, gently inviting Ciro to sit next to him. Ciro was a fan of Mickey. He was very sad that his idol had lost. Sonny used just a few words to console the boy. Mickey can make hundreds of thousands a year, but how much does your dad make in a year? If your dad asked Mickey for a loan, I think he wouldn't lend him a single dime, because Mickey doesn't care about you at all. So why do you care about him? Ciro suddenly lost his affection for Mickey. Afterwards, the boy asked the question that had been on his mind. Did you really kill that man over a parking spot? Sonny didn't answer directly but said, just like your father. When you grow up, you'll understand. From then on, Ciro would often sneak into the bar after school, serving tea to the people there to earn money. That night, Sonny was gambling with his men. He was unlucky and lost several times in a row. At that moment, Ciro happened to come by with drinks, so Sonny asked Ciro to place a bet for him. Unexpectedly, Ciro was very lucky and won big on the very first round. Sonny seemed to have found his savior and then let Ciro play 11 consecutive times. What he didn't expect was that Ciro won 11 games in a row, making a lot of money for Sonny. Sonny felt he had discovered a treasure. He not only gave Calogero the simple nickname C, but from then on, Sonny also claimed Ciro as his own son. Ciro began to receive two types of education: a street education from Sonny and a formal education from school. Therefore, the boy was twice as smart as other kids. Before long, the attitude of those around Ciro also changed. For instance, Ciro used to like stealing fruit from the old shopkeeper. The old man would shout at the boy whenever he saw him, but now he would actively greet him and give him a bag of fresh fruit. He only hoped Calogero could say something nice about him to Sonny, because everyone knew Sonny was very fond of Ciro. Sonny's friendliness towards Ciro made Lorenzo uneasy. One night, Lorenzo discovered that Calogero had saved up $600 in tips. He took the money and confronted the boy. Where did this money come from? When he learned his son was working in the bar to earn tips, the father flew into a rage. Then, he angrily dragged Ciro to find Sonny and threw the money right on the table. He said, "We can't accept this money." Sonny insisted it was Ciro's own tips. However, his father didn't want his son involved in the activities there and seriously warned Sonny to stay away from his son. Sonny advised the father to calm down. "First of all, I respect you as a man, but from now on, you better not talk to me like that again. I teach Ciro to study hard, to go to college later. So what did I do wrong?" The father argued, "The important thing isn't what you say, but what my son sees. In your place, there are only designer clothes, luxury cars, and money. Since coming here, he's even thrown away his favorite baseball cards because he says Mickey wouldn't lend me money." Hearing this, Sonny breathed a sigh of relief. Looks like this kid is easy to teach. His son's savings had surpassed his father's. This made the father feel very ashamed. Sonny said, "It's not that I didn't give you a chance, but you didn't take it." But the father insisted again, "Don't drag my son into this." Sonny, being unjustly accused, also got angry. "Don't you see I treat the kid like my own son?" The two argued fiercely. Calogero's father said, "I know you're a ruthless operator, but everyone knows I'm a man who follows the rules. Don't make a joke of my family. Ciro is my son, not yours." Sonny's hands were itching, but he managed to hold back. The father was dragged out by the henchman. He angrily pulled Ciro home. When Ciro found out the money was returned, he immediately turned to go get it back. The father believed the money was dirty and couldn't be taken, but Ciro argued it was money he had worked hard for. Thus, the father and son had a big fight. The father thought Ciro was siding with the rich and spurning the poor, taking a gangster as his father. He was so angry he stepped forward and slapped Ciro. This only made Ciro more convinced that Sonny was right. "All working stiffs are suckers." The father retorted, "You're wrong. It's easy to pull a trigger and kill someone. Let him try working from morning till night every day to make a living. Then you'll know who the tough one, the resilient one is. The working man is the tough one. Your father here, he's the tough one." Calogero said, "Everybody loves Sonny, just like the passengers on the bus love you, Dad." The father explained, "They fear him, they don't love him. I'm sorry, Dad, I still don't understand. You'll understand when you grow up." After the father apologized, he took Calogero home. From that night on, Lorenzo and Sonny never spoke a word to each other again. But Ciro didn't listen to his father, sneaking into the bar to listen to Sonny's teachings whenever he had the chance. In the blink of an eye, 8 years passed, and the time was now 1968. By now, Ciro had grown into a young man. Sonny's power had also grown significantly, but the two remained very good friends. At this point, Lorenzo still wanted to control Calogero to prevent him from going astray with Sonny. However, Ciro did not recognize the value of his father's hard work. What he longed for was a life like Sonny's, so he also formed a club with a few gangsters on the street, not to earn money for his family, but to prove he was just like Sonny. Being around the gangsters for too long, Ciro's mind was no longer as sharp. A friend owed him $20 and refused to pay it back. Ciro wanted to chase him down and beat him up, but luckily Sonny stopped him in time. Ciro would tell Sonny everything. When he heard that Ciro wanted to beat someone up over $20, Sonny told Calogero that sometimes violence can't solve problems. You should think from another perspective. It only cost you $20 to see a person's true colors. That's a real bargain. Sonny told Ciro he should focus on his family and the people who matter to him instead. Sonny, though a mafia boss, had read a lot of books during his 10 years in prison. What he liked most were the ideas of Machiavelli, something he aspired to, and he always practiced these ideas. He could have left this place long ago to enjoy his life, but he persisted in holding his ground here. Because only by being on the front lines could he solve any problem immediately, just like cancer. Detect it early, treat it early. Otherwise, you're just waiting to die. When my underlings see me here, they feel safe because I'm right beside them, and they have more reason to love me. Those who want to oppose me have to think twice because they know I'm nearby, and they have more reason to fear me. After hearing this, Ciro asked another question. Is it better to be loved or feared? Sonny explained that it's best to be both loved and feared, but that's very difficult to achieve. If I have to choose, I'd rather be feared than loved. Friendship bought with money isn't worth a dime. Fear keeps them loyal. The important thing is not to make them hate you. I treat my underlings well, but not too well. If I give them too much, they won't need me. I give just enough so that they need me but don't hate me. This was Sonny's philosophy of life, and he hoped Ciro would remember it. Just as they were about to have lunch, a group of bikers passed by on the street, making a loud roar that annoyed everyone. However, they entered Sonny's bar. The manager saw the unusually dressed men and didn't want to serve them. Sonny saw that they spoke politely and didn't look like bad people, so he asked his men to greet them kindly. However, in less than 3 minutes, the group began to show their true colors, wrecking the bar. Sonny stepped forward and asked them to leave. We'll let you know when we want to leave, get lost. At that moment, they still didn't know who they had messed with. Sonny stepped out and locked the bar door. Now you can't leave. Then it was time to lock the doors and beat the dogs. Sonny's men came out of a back room with bats, and a brawl broke out. The bikers looked big, but facing mafiosi who had crawled out of piles of dead bodies, they basically had no chance to fight back. In a flash, they were dragged out of the bar like dead bodies. Even the motorcycle parked outside was smashed to pieces. One day, a thug got a batch of guns and was selling them to other thugs on the street. Ciro saw them and was also interested, about to buy one when Sonny happened to pass by. Sonny stepped up and taught the gun seller a harsh lesson, while also warning the thug that guns were not allowed here. Then, Sonny warned Ciro to stay away from those thugs. They will only cause you trouble. They are the scum of the scum. You need to study hard and not follow my old path. This is my life, not yours. I had no other choice, but you're different. It seems Ciro understood what Sonny said. Today, his father called Calogero onto the bus again and told him to sit behind him, just like when he was a child. When he turned around, Calogero saw a very decent girl. The girl seemed to be interested in him too. The two fell in love at first sight, exchanging glances nonstop on the bus. Even after getting off, they couldn't stop looking at each other. At that time, racial discrimination was still a serious issue, and the relationship between black and white people was very tense. Even when they saw each other at school, because they were both with friends, they didn't even greet each other. It wasn't until their friends had left that Ciro finally mustered the courage to approach the girl and start a conversation. The girl's name was Jane. She had recently transferred to this school. The two had a great conversation. Ciro took Jane to the black neighborhood. Seeing the intimidating black men, Ciro could only quickly leave. One day, a group of black people were riding their bikes down the street. The thugs felt they shouldn't be there and had to be taught a lesson. Without a word, they moved in and knocked one person down, then proceeded to beat up the black people passing by. Fortunately, Calogero stepped in just in time to stop them. Otherwise, someone would have been killed. Black people just passing by had caused such a big incident. Who knows what would happen if he liked a black girl? Ciro didn't know what to do, so he went to ask Sonny for advice. Sonny told Calogero never to listen to those thugs. Their future has only two outcomes: death or prison. You have to respect your own heart. Whatever you feel in your heart, be brave enough to do it. In a man's life, there are 3 good women: his lover, his sweetheart, and the mother of his children. They might even appear in the same person. Perhaps this girl is a combination of all 3. Finally, Sonny also taught Calogero a little trick for the car door test. Park the car some distance from the date spot, and after getting out, lock both doors. Then, get out and walk to the rendezvous. Lead the girl to the parking lot, take out the key, open the door for her, let her get in, and then close the door. Then walk around to the back of the car and watch the rearview mirror. If the girl doesn't reach over to unlock the door for you, then dump her, because it proves she's selfish. What you see is only the tip of the iceberg. When Calogero returned home, he again used the pretense of a friend's love life to ask his father, "What do you think about a white friend dating a black girl?" Although his father drove all sorts of people every day, when it came to marriage, it was best to find someone of the same skin color. Usually, when you're blinded by beauty, your lower body commands your brain to do stupid things. You should think carefully before you do anything. To give Calogero some face, Sonny lent him his car. Calogero arrived at the designated spot early, waiting and hoping Jane would pass the car door test. Unexpectedly, Jane walked up angrily and said they weren't compatible. It turned out that among the black men who were beaten that day was Jane's brother. He insisted that the wound on his face was caused by Ciro. This made Ciro furious. "If it weren't for me, your brother would be a corpse." To be falsely accused at a critical moment was infuriating. Ciro got angrier and angrier and spewed the nastiest words about black people. Hearing this, Jane was extremely disappointed, got in her car, and left. Ciro also regretted his impulsiveness. When he returned the car, Sonny caringly asked how the test went. Ciro was in a daze and didn't want to talk about it, turning around and heading home, leaving Sonny completely confused. As soon as he got home, his father immediately asked Ciro why he was driving Sonny's car, as he had seen it from upstairs. The father once again emphasized that he must stay away from Sonny. He doesn't trust anyone and sooner or later he'll hurt you. People don't respect him, they fear him. Then the father talked about his own hard work to get rich and said, "I do all of this for your own good." Ciro was in a foul mood. How could he listen to these words? The father and son had a fierce argument. Calogero angrily yelled at his dad, "We have no money, no car, and nothing. Don't pin the responsibility of being a bus driver on me. Working stiffs are all suckers." Just as Calogero was walking down the stairs, Sonny grabbed him by the collar, pushed him against the wall, and asked, "Where the hell did you take the car? Was that story about the black girl named Jane a lie too?" It turned out they had found a bomb in the car's engine, but luckily it hadn't detonated. Sonny suspected Ciro had set him up. After a few slaps, Ciro became anxious. "I swear to God, why would I harm you? You're like a father to me." Seeing that he didn't seem to be lying, Sonny let him go. After all this trouble, Ciro became even more depressed. On his way, he met a group of gangsters from his club. It turned out the black guys who had been beaten had thrown rotten eggs at their clubhouse door in revenge. Ciro had nowhere else to vent his anger, so he got in the car. After getting in, he discovered they had prepared a large number of Molotov cocktails and were heading to the black neighborhood to show them what a festival was like. However, there was one guy who wasn't afraid of death, smoking in the car. They might have gone to heaven before they even got to their revenge spot. Calogero didn't want to get involved, but he was too ashamed to get out of the car, afraid they would call him a useless coward. Just when he didn't know what to do, Sonny's car chased after them. First, he pulled Ciro out of the car, then he gave the others a good talking to. On the way back, Calogero asked Sonny, "I can't believe it. After knowing each other for so long, you still don't trust me." Sonny said, "It's not that I don't trust you, it's that I don't trust anyone." Seeing him live such a terrible life, Ciro felt this was not what he wanted. When they returned to the bar, someone told Ciro that a black girl had just been looking for him. Ciro guessed it must be Jane and hurried after her. It turned out that on that day, Jane's brother had told the truth. He just wanted to take his anger out on Ciro. The misunderstanding was cleared up, and the two fell in love with a kiss on the street at midnight. As Jane apologized on her brother's behalf again, Ciro suddenly thought of his gang of thug friends. Perhaps Jane's brother was in danger right now. Ciro quickly took Jane's car keys, opened the door, let Jane in, and then walked around to the back of the car, watching. Jane reached over and unlocked the door for him, making Ciro ecstatic for a moment. When they drove into the black neighborhood, the streets were filled with cars and fire trucks. It turned out the group that went for revenge had been counterattacked. None of the black people died, but the thugs were burned so badly their own mothers wouldn't recognize them. Looking at their bodies, Ciro fell into deep thought, not knowing whether to feel sorry for them or lucky for himself. If Sonny hadn't pulled him out of the car, he might be lying on the ground with them right now. Ciro quickly ran from the crowd, wanting to tell Sonny that he had saved his life. At night, the bar was very lively. Everyone had a bright smile on their face. Seeing Ciro arrive, Sonny warmly greeted him. At this moment, a suspicious person appeared in the crowd. "Come here or not." Sonny was looking at Calogero when he was shot in the head. The shooter was the son of the man Sonny had killed on the street 8 years ago. At the funeral, people came and went. There was almost no room left for the wreaths. However, it seemed no one cared about Sonny's death. They were all happily talking about their own affairs. After everyone left, Ciro stood before Sonny and told him two things. First, Jane had passed the car door test. "We're going to have a good life together." Second, "You saved my life, but it's a shame I never got the chance to tell you." At this moment, Another man arrived at the funeral. One look at his aura and you knew he was no ordinary person. The man recognized Ciro, but Ciro said he didn't recognize him. The man pointed to a scar on his forehead. It turned out he was the man who had been beaten in the car 8 years ago. Over the years, he had a very good relationship with Sonny. He would also be taking over Sonny's territory. The man hoped that if anything happened in the future, Ciro could come to the bar to see him. Ciro said he would probably be going away for a while. Ciro then asked the question that had been brewing in his mind for years. That time, was it really just over a parking spot? It wasn't. After the man said goodbye, Ciro's father entered. The father thanked Sonny for saving his son. I never hated you. I was angry at you because you made my son grow up too soon. Calogero said to Sonny, you always said that nobody cares about you. This time, you were wrong. Then, he made a gesture that Sonny often used to say goodbye. A Bronx Tale is a film directed by the Oscar-winning actor Robert De Niro, and his directorial debut was shortlisted for the Golden Lion at the 50th Venice International Film Festival in 1993. There were two most important men in Ciro's life. One was his biological father, who always worked hard. The other was his adoptive father, the charismatic Mafia boss. Two men from two different classes, with two different principles of survival, two different voices, but sharing a sincere and warm fatherly love. Ciro admired Sonny, so he didn't rat him out. The two were like father and son, like friends despite the age gap. While Sonny brought Ciro the ways of the world, Ciro also seemed to grow accustomed to the lifestyle of the underworld. Ciro's diligent and upright father taught him from a young age to be honest, to be a righteous person, to stay away from the street thugs, to stay away from the underworld and Sonny. In these two completely different developmental environments, Calogero gradually matured and became rational, while also gradually accepting both forms of education. As many confusing things that people don't understand due to their age are gradually understood, some things are also gradually lost. Realizing that idols don't lend money to their fans, Ciro threw away the players' photos and jerseys. A group of gangsters died tragically on the street for provoking black people. It was Sonny who advised him to stay away from violence, saving Ciro's life. Sonny was killed in a noisy bar. This was his final destination. Violence solves all problems. In the end, violence solved him. As Ciro lost one thing after another, he realized that the dark underworld was not for him. So, in the end, he rejected the man's kindness. The reconciliation between the father, Sonny, and Calogero was not because of Sonny's death, but because the son had truly grown up and chosen the right path for himself, comforting the two fathers. At this point, of the two fathers, one was old and one was gone. Today's story ends here. Thank you for watching the movie. What do you think of this film? Please comment down below.